With the recent buff to the Royal Giant, let's talk about buildings. What's good about them and what's bad about them. Let's make this video real quick. Let's start with the good. Buildings are the only way to trap troops in both towers' range for an extended period of time. Even though the building does no damage to the troop, the double tower damage is insanely powerful. Take a Tesla, it does 172 DPS without the towers. A Crown Tower does 113 DPS alone. Add 2 towers and you're now doing 398 damage per second by using a building that costs you just 4 elixir. This is more DPS than a 7 elixir P.E.K.K.A. Getting the optimal placement on these buildings makes them pretty powerful for getting Another advantage is that they are the only things that can distract building targeting troops. If you're having trouble with the OP Royal Giant, it's probably because it's not able to be distracted by normal troops. It's a massive advantage for buildings to distract these win conditions, as it's a rare trait and can be crucial in countering some of these win conditions. Defensive buildings get a buff in their stats because they won't counterattack. Inferno Dragon has a maximum DPS of 875, whereas Inferno Towers is 1760. For one more elixir, that is a ton more DPS. This is because the Inferno Tower won't actually counterattack, so it makes buildings extremely good on defense. Because it won't get you any more value on offense, its defensive value will be way higher as to make up for that. As for investment buildings, also known as spawners, an advantage to these is an elixir lead. A goblin hut spawns 11 spear goblins for 5 elixir, that's 2.2 goblins per elixir. Normal spear goblins come in free and cost 2, which is 1.5 goblins per elixir. This value will generate you an elixir lead over time, as it will spawn spear goblins at a higher value than what they're balanced around. Right, the buildings sound pretty good now? Probably, but what are the downsides to running a building? Well, firstly, all buildings cost 3 elixir and above. This means that they can't really be cycled as they pose no attacking threat and will just sit there and die for 3 elixir. This means that you can often be stuck with one card in your hand, unable to play it until you need to defend. It's not at all good at taking advantage of elixir leads that you may have. Another disadvantage is that they're the only things to have a lifetime. This makes them lose damage over time without even being in danger. This leads back to the previous point of being uninvestable, and therefore being stuck in your hand. It also means that you can't pre-plant them to defend. Pre-planting an Electro Wizard means that it'll run up to the attacking troop and defend it usually. However, pre-planting a building means that the attacking troop will engage with it whilst it has less health than if you were to plant it usually. This makes you have to keep the building in hand even longer and only play it in a defensive moment. A downside to playing them solely in defense is that they can't move. This makes them vulnerable to all types of spells, along with getting your tower damage too. If you're extra wild with your placements, you're probably going to lose one other troop and give your opponent mad value. Troop cards are able to move away from spells and cause your opponent to miss. However, buildings are stuck to wherever you build them and are hence more vulnerable to spell value. Visiting a point from earlier, buildings are sometimes less efficient to run because they won't attack. Take the Inferno Tower for example. Who really needs the 1706 DPS anyway? Surely the 875 from Inferno Dragon is good enough, and then grants you this deadly beast on offense that your opponent must now answer. Being good on defense is one thing, but it's worthless when other cards do it just as well and will go attack for you. Lastly, we go into spawners. A problem with these is that they won't actually attack back. This means that beefier units are free to just get damage through them and take out your investment building without getting damaged all that much. So yeah, that's really all for buildings. Hopefully you enjoyed this quick opinion piece and have a better understanding as to why buildings can be good and why they can be bad. Personally, I think buildings are conceptually bad for the game, but hey, that's more of an opinion video opposed to a strategy one. Once more, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and peace.